Let's discuss. Hey everyone, it's Rachel back again with another video, and today I'm very stoked because I will be checking out Graphic Nature's new album, A Mind Waiting to Die. I would just like to give a big shout out to Rude Records for getting this over to me to make a video. This is, at this point, one of my most anticipated albums for this year. The singles have just been on repeat for me non-stop, so that is something I'm very excited about. I feel like if that's sort of expanded on in the album, it's just going to be a win for me. Lyrically, I've been really drawn to what the album has to offer single-wise, so that's really what I'm looking for. I do hope there's a bit of variety in there, maybe just because the singles do have somewhat of a similar feel, but even so, I've loved all of them and kept them all on the playlist, so I don't think it will be too much of a deterrent for me, but that is something I would like to see. So, all that being said, I will link all of Graphic Nature's social media, all of the actual physical orders or merch you can get for the album in the description of this video. Other than that, I'm going to stop talking and we are going to get straight into it. I didn't even mention what my favorite single was, and that would be Into the Dark, without a doubt. So, let's get into it. It's like 43 seconds, so intro track. Ooh. Ooh, eerie. Oh. Just give me the space I need my mind. I can't tell it myself. It's all in my head. I need to see this band live real bad. It's all in my head. 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 Just fucking leave me to die. Just fucking leave to die. Just go. Just go. Uh-oh. Just go. Just go. Just go. Listen to me, understand. They said, hear the electronics, you assworth. Ooh. Oh, it's my favorite track. I'll do what I normally do, and I have this on the channel, so. Not before this part. This is my favorite part. Oh, this part. Give us a slowdown. And this goes into Killing Floor, which was a single. I don't think I covered this on the channel, but I love this track. I've heard all the singles. Maybe we did it on stream or something. And the end of the song is crazy. I'll probably leave the full minute of the last track just in case you haven't heard it. New track time. Sleepless. Oh, hello, riff. Ooh. Ooh, bass. Oh, I love that riff so much. You could tell with that drum beat, some of that was coming, the scratches. The drum beat, like in the intro, I think, and the second part. We'll discuss at the end. You got the singles kind of. I think that was my favorite so far over Sour. So this is also one of the singles. Singles are nicely placed in here. This is my second favorite of the singles. I love everything about White Noise and Into the Dark. That bass that goes through is so dirty. How this kind of distorts. White Noise. It looks like it's like less than a minute long track next, and then Bad Blood. So we'll see. Drum break interlude. Drum beat break interlude. Yeah. Okay. All the singles are just damn good. Not only like their electronic elements that are involved, but like delivery, vocal pattern and stuff. So it looks like we got Twisted Fear, which is a new track. Then we have one more single, Headstone, and then we got 3 new tracks. The closer being the longest. Whoa. Oh.
Somebody give me the answers, 'cause I'm clocking out. Yeah. Somebody help me to breathe. Yeah. Somebody help me to breathe.
That like emergency siren. Where are we going? I think we know.
For every night I survive, I'm just wasting my breath.
Oh.
I'm just wasting my breath.
The slow groove? I'm here for it. That track and Sleepless so far are the tracks for me. But I'm really looking at the Downpour. Okay, so this is the last of the singles. This I did have on the channel. Some of the singles I was just real keen for and listened to them without posting a video, which I don't normally do, but I think like... Sorry, you just can't... I love the beginning of this.
I'm fucking sick of this shit. Give me a reason to live, 'cause I want this day away from taking it all for myself. For myself.
Lyrically incredibly heavy album, and I'm very excited to read through all of them now when the album's out.
Give me a reason to live. 'Cause I'm out of time and I'm running.
I'll wait for the outro.
Myself. The clock is ticking and it's only getting harder to breathe. Let's start over again. For myself. For myself. For myself. For myself. For my...
That riff in this breakdown is so gnarly.
I need a reason to live, 'cause I'm burning.
The snare hit
You
too.
can't escape anything when it's part of you.
Alright. 3 new tracks. Deathwish, a twin, the Downpour, which I think I'm most excited for. Longest track on the album. Uh-oh.
How many times have you wanted to die?
Ooh.
Push your death on the blackest of night skies. You say
The intensity in that.
after everything falls apart. Is it living if you're always fucking ready to die? The price of life is enough to kill. Yet I scratch my name into the walls. time. Time to get mine. Fucking back. This is a lost cause. Trying to line up with the wrong doors. Shit. I'm at the wrong floor. Over and over and over and over again.
Oh, those vocals. Mm-hmm. To whisper into that. That's it, huh? That was fast. Okay, a twin, which is about the same length.
The downpour of rain has felt like I like to breathe the past soul. I'm reminded of the night
Oh, bringing out some piano.
silhouette of a human stands at the foot of my bed. A familiar sight that I'm used to by now.
We're gonna go from Deathwish into something like this, which I'm speaking real soon, but
Find me in fear has kept me locked in for the ride. I await the inevitable ugliness of the dark room. My vision is blurred. I can barely open my eyes. I can see through the truth. But I thrive in the lies. Every door leads me to the same place, and I'm right here staring you in the face. Your hold on me is close to the touch. The only warmth I feel is the blood pumping through my body as the adrenaline keeps me sane for just a few more minutes. I can smell no sign of the light of the universe lifetime. I feel my time is moving as coming as body regains his composure. I can breathe.
letting you breathe before the outro, the closer, I should say.
I manage to sit myself upright as the figure draws closer. By now, my eyes cold, and the warmth I felt has turned to a searing pain under my skin. The weight of my guilt has crushed my chest, and I struggle to catch my last few breaths. The abyss in front of me grabs me by the neck, and the pain of an exit wound sheds into my chest. I jolt up. My eyes are open and my vision is clear. The light is blinding, even when it isn't there.
Very interesting. Here we go. Oh boy.
Take a long hard look, check it again, I bet you see right through me. For all the times I let the blood run out, now I'm ready to bleed. You keep me trapped like a prisoner, trying to leave.
Yeah.
Life you take it from me.
A reference to Into the Dark. Progression crazy. It could be so heavy but still make me want to cry, you know? And this has... A lot of that like layered whispering, kind of it. I'm almost there. Graphic nature, a mind waiting to die. Let's discuss. I am very happy with this. I think that while the first half of the record keeps the intensity that I think came with the majority of the singles, all the singles really, even though they're kind of dispersed throughout the record, more so than the first half, you still have tracks like Sour, which has a completely wild breakdown. I've not heard anything like that. It certainly leans hard into the kind of industrial or electronic vibes that they've thrown into their songs since the beginning, since they really emerged as a band. If you go back and listen to their early singles and the EP and such, it's always been present in something that they've used, but the way the breakdown is delivered in Sour, but also like that intensity I think that you get in Into the Dark, the breakdown of Into the Dark, it's just one of my favorites. Everything about that track when it comes to lyricism, the vocal patterns, delivery, all of that. It's just an outstanding track to me, and I think it was a hard bar to like set with a single, but the Downpour comes really close. I know I'm skipping to the last track in the middle of talking about like Sour and stuff, but I will circle back. I just wanted to touch on the Downpour because lyrically it seemed, I'll need to read the full lyrics when it comes out. Right now I'm recording this a bit early to get my video sorted for album release, which is coming up at the end of this week. But when it comes out and the lyrics are available, I'll need to read through because it sounds like lyrically there are some parallels with Into the Dark, not only saying something about like you left your life in the dark, but there was something prior to that that was like there's a line in Into the Dark that says you left your mark with the life you've taken from me, and it's before like one of those breakdowns that's just absolutely killer. And there was a parallel to that in the Downpour. Some of the vocal patterns were very reminiscent, but then it has like this more like melodic, a little bit less chaos in some places and really tones down. But a Twin has like, I would love to see a track from them that takes like what a Twin sort of introduced and brings in more of their other elements, because I really liked hearing some of that piano. I think reminds me a bit of like some older bands that I do think Graphic Nature sort of incorporates into this like newer sound that they have. But a Twin was really like sort of an interlude type of track with a lot of that like layered whispering that I was talking about, which I think in itself represents like this album is very clearly related to trauma and mental health and things like that. And I think like that layered whispering does a really good job of representing certain ways that like the downsides of mental health issues can feel. Obviously mental health issues are downsides, but like the low points, I guess, is more the verbiage that I would have used there. So I think that having that in a Twin, and then also there were portions of the album where that was present, or like the whisper before the breakdown is completely different to me, but like that layered sort of whispering, sometimes you're like battling multiple different like negative thoughts and stuff. So they did a great job, I think, representing what they were trying to. So now to go kind of like back through the track list, I think that the singles were really well kind of sorted in throughout the album, and that keeps up a certain level of intensity because like Killing Floor, Bad Blood, Headstone too, they all have like that same level of intensity, but it does feel like towards the latter half of the album they start leaning into a few more directions, if that makes sense, especially tracks like I just mentioned, a Twin, the Downpour. But even before that, Deathwish is, I'd say, up there chaotic, top of the record type of chaos, so it's not fully that way. Like I wouldn't say it like tapers down all the way, because it does keep up a certain level, but it just has a different feel to it, I guess, if that makes sense. And I think Deathwish will be up there for me in these tracks as well, because it does have that like the intensity that I had mentioned, which is something I really loved about the singles, obviously mentioning that how many times I've mentioned that I really enjoyed all of them. So Deathwish will be another track that's up there a lot for me. All of them really will be. The main riff on it was Sleepless, that was, I think, my favorite riff from the album. I loved that. That was exactly for me. So there were different points in the album, a Twin being that sort of breath, I think, from the sound that they really had. I mean, you have like 404, which is more of an intro track. You have 90, which is like a drum beat type interlude thing. I think 90 really keeps up with what's already been set out, though it's like still sort of like interlude-y. It's a continuation of what you've heard, while a Twin felt really like that moment where it was contrast, it was different than anything else on the album. It introduced some newer elements, which happens throughout the album, but just not in such an intense way, if that makes sense. So with Sleepless being one of the contenders for my favorite tracks on here, I think that there are a lot of lyrical lines on this that are just so brutally honest and kind of go for that emotional jugular, like dying to leave this hell, which also is kind of, so when White Noise came out, we were presented with the lyrics "Existence is my hell." There were two non-singles. I think the other was maybe Twisted Fear, that says "Save me from this hell," and then those are kind of two different sides of the same coin, assuming that the hell that's being talked about in both Sleepless and Twisted Fear is Existence, which was presented in White Noise. So having dying to leave this hell, and then later on in the album kind of save me from this hell. They're very two opposite things, like one leaving and one being saved, but both being assumably existence that's being talked about. So lyrical ties like that, I personally love. Those are things that I love to dig into an album and sort of find things like that. I will need to, like I said, read through the lyrics, because these are just things I could pick up on when they were audible. And regarding really that sort of mental health issues topic, I think that A Twin was a great representation of that sort of like, you know, the whispering that you can't quite make out, like the unintelligible whispering, the layered whispering. That's a great representation of some forms of mental health issues. So you know, I've already mentioned how that's kind of like a contrast to the rest of the album, but sort of keeping in that vein of like the mental health theme, which is all over this album. I'm just very keen to like jump into those aspects of it. But instrumentally, so going back to Sleepless, another line on there that sort of gave that same exact feeling, like, you know, very intense line. Why is this happening to me? That even saying repeat after me or whatever the lyrics were to that part, and then having the repetition there. I think the repetition on some lines like that really drive the message of the album, and I love that. There, you know, that's another reason. Into the Dark, some of the lines that hit the most are then, you know, there's repetition there, which I like. So I feel like instrumentally, Sleepless really matches that, like the intensity, the relentless sort of sound that we get from the singles, from Graphic Nature in general. It keeps up with that while really driving on the message of the album, I think. Twisted Fear probably has my favorite intro. I just right away, I was very much feeling that track. Some of the more like stuttery type of instrumental stuff I really like. I'm not talking about either like the, you know, turntables or scratches, just some, they had like a bit of odd timing going on there, a lot of groove in that track, which I really liked. Some eerie leads back there behind the actual guitar work that's going on, just some very light eeriness going on in the background. Then you have like that emergency siren too, which I think in itself kind of shows, you know, when you're having a really low mental health point, that is when the sirens are going off, you know, something is wrong, things like that. So having that incorporated in the track, not just in like, you know, one verse or like one little part. It was in that, it was introduced in a verse, it was continued on as it sort of like explodes into another part of the song, and then brought back around for that last breakdown, which has like then kind of matching panic chords with it that really drive like that message. And so having so much of that going on, I think they just did a fantastic job trying to convey what they were trying to convey, as long as I'm reading it the correct way, you know. Bringing that back around to the ending breakdown and having all of that going on and really expressing that sort of panic is, I loved that. So that will be up there for one of my favorite tracks as well. In this album, there are lots of like connections with the lyrics, lots of references. I just am really here for stuff like that. So then, yeah, you have the Downpour, which I already mentioned, the ties that it has in. It definitely has its moments. It doesn't feel like it lets off on a fully like, you know, a very noticeable softer note, which is sometimes the way that people go, or like the expectation that people have for closing tracks. And I do like one that kind of, while it had that and what I was talking about before with like more melodic sounding parts of the song, there's still parts that are super chaotic and quite the opposite of that. So it does a good job of wrapping up the whole album, and will be up there for one of my favorites as well. So I'm very happy with this. I don't think it needed too much more variety than what it got, because of what I'm mentioning. The message there is very clear. So I'm extremely happy with this. I'll be doing a ton of listening, I'm sure. I will have to make a choice on what my favorite track is as I do more listening, because as for all the reasons mentioned, I have a lot to kind of repeat and choices to make in those departments. But those are my thoughts. I don't really do ratings or anything. I guess I need more time with something. After just hearing it once, I feel like once is way too soon to give it like a number rating without just like pulling something out of nowhere. Just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna give it this number because it sounds good. At least for me, like that's what I would be doing. I'm not able to just do it after one listen through the album, but I will be doing a lot more. So maybe after a while I'll do like a middle of the year video and kind of like the albums I do full reactions for and stuff, kind of give them more ratings, more what I've thought after some time with them. I think that may be something that I'll do. If you're interested in the comments and you're still listening, let me know if that's a good or a bad idea. So anyway, Graphic Nature, A Mind Waiting to Die. I will link all of the merch, all of their social media. Rude Records will be linked down there as well. Shout out again to Rude Records for getting this over to me so I can have this video sorted earlier than I would otherwise. I very much appreciate it. So I don't have any complaints with this album. I really don't. As I mentioned with each, I kind of was able to highlight, I think, most of the non-singles, if not all of them. So that's a great sign. Sometimes there are things that kind of get lost in the in-between and sort of blend together with albums. That's when I know it won't really stick with me for a while, but this did not feel that way. So let me know what you thought in the comments. If you have a favorite track, let me know what that was. I let you know already that all of the social media promotional links you may need for Graphic Nature will be there in the description. You can also find my Linktree, which will have the Patreon. I've been working a lot on that content. We'll have some streams coming up for that as well. And you can find the Discord server invite link, which is where the community for my YouTube channel is based. A lot of wonderful people in there, various conversation. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.